are listening to the Metal Command Podcast.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the Metal Command Podcast. Tony here with you. And as always, I do appreciate any support I get on this program. So if you like what you see in here, please hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video, leave a comment about the subject I'm bringing up today, and if you are on any other form of social media, give me a follow, a like, or a comment over there. So today's subject in today's podcast is about band meet and greets, where they are charging people to meet and greet them, you know, before or after the show. Usually it's before, and reissues. And I'm bringing this stuff up because people have been emailing me, asking me what I think about band meet and greets. Do I think they are worth it? And why? And I get this message a lot. Why are bands constantly reissuing their back catalog? And the thing is this. One thing, you know, every time I see a band, and I'm going to address this too, every time I see a band announce a reissue, or anytime I see a band talking about, hey, we're going to charge X amount of dollars to meet us at the shows, I see people in the comments constantly talking about how greedy the band is, and like it's a huge cash grab, and they're trying to rip fans off, yada, yada, yada. Let me address that comment first. You know, because every time I see one of these idiots going into the comment section and saying stuff like, oh my God, it's a cash grab, they act as if the band is holding them hostage to either buy the meet and greet or buy the reissue, which nobody is forcing them to do any of that. But they act like they are some kind of victim of some sort, talking about cash grab. Well, folks, let me just enlighten you right now. Bands need to do creative things to make money on tour. The economics for a band right now, and to tell you how ignorant a lot of people are, the economics are terrible. Not everybody's Metallica, not everybody's Iron Maiden. People think because a band gets a record deal, you know, when they were playing locally and they get a record deal, that they're suddenly making tons of money. And I can tell you flat out, that is not the case. If you go back on this show, I've had tons of episodes. I've actually had a few episodes talking specifically why bands are not making money on tour. I mean, for example, like if you remember a couple years ago, Anthrax canceled an entire European tour because they couldn't afford to tour. Okay, I'm just bringing that up because that came up off the top of my head. So the economics aren't great. So bands need to be creative, and they need to be creative about how they make money. So when you guys complain about this stuff, you make yourselves look stupid. You really do. So let me get into now the meet and greets, because I've addressed the cash grab issue, which I think is absolutely one of the dumbest terms I've ever heard. Now let's talk about band meet and greets. Do I think they are worth it? And do I think bands should charge for them? Well, it's really simple. It's up to them. But the economics are bad. And if they want to charge to do a meet and greet with that particular band, then by all means, go ahead and do so. You know, because if people are willing to buy it, if people are willing to buy that meet and greet package, why not? Now, a lot of these packages include like a photo with the band, you know, some merch, some exclusive merchandise, you know, things of that nature. And I think it's absolutely something that I think most bands should charge for that. Not every band does it. Some bands, the meet and greet is free. Great. But again, the economics of touring are absolutely terrible. So really, if a band wants to do it, let them do it. Am I really interested in meet and greets and paying to meet somebody? You know, it's hard for me to say that because the position that I'm in and the position that I've been in over the last 25, 26 years of doing my show, I've met a lot of these guys. But a lot of people haven't. A lot of people want to get their stuff signed. And so it's, you know, as far as whether it's worth it or not, that's really up to you. So I have no problem with a band charging for them, and I can't really say whether it's worth it or not. That is completely up to you. Again, nobody's holding anybody hostage to buy these meet and greet packages. Now, I did get one question that was interesting. What would be the ideal meet and greet package if you were to pay for one? And it's interesting. So I started looking up what a lot of these bands, actually charge and what's included with the meet and greet package. For me personally, I'd like to get my stuff signed. I would like to, maybe get a photo with them, maybe chat with them for a bit, maybe get an exclusive shirt or, a poster or a flag or something cool, like that. And I'm cool with that. And depending on the band and the price, I'll pay for it. So I took the liberty of looking up bands that are on tour. I'm actually going to go to my phone here because it'll be a lot easier to look this up here. But let's talk about Exodus. So Exodus has a meet and greet package. I'm going to actually punch it up here really quick. National-acts.com. Exodus is on tour. And let's look up one of their shows. So let's see if they're coming to Ohio. No Cleveland date, not a surprise, but they are coming to Columbus. So they're coming to the King of Clubs in Columbus. Now they have a meet and greet package, a VIP package is what they're calling it. Exodus, Battle of 24, ticketless VIP upgrade. So this package does not include the ticket. So what are they offering? So they get to meet the band at soundcheck. I think that's actually the best idea because usually after a show, a lot of these guys are worn out. They are tired. I get it, but the soundcheck meet and greet with Exodus at soundcheck, I think most bands should do it before the show. Just my opinion. 2 reasons for that. Number one, at the end of the night, let's say you're playing at a venue, do you really want to go back out to your car, bring your merchandise in after the show, after you've been in that concert hall and it's real late at night? And do the bands really want to extend their stay in that area? A lot of times they have to leave to get to the next show, depending on where they are playing at. So that's why I say the beginning of the show is ideal. So this is what the Exodus VIP package includes. An Exodus branded flag. Now, I don't know what that looks like, but if it looks like any of these flags behind me, I would be 100% on board with that. Souvenir VIP laminate, probably something very similar to like a backstage pass or whatnot with the tour and, logo and all that other fun stuff on there. Branded Exodus tote bag. Signed 8x10 photo of the band. I think that's actually really cool. Photo op with Exodus. It says to bring your own camera, which is pretty much common sense. And, from what I've seen of these photo ops, these guys are actually taking a photo with you. They're not like Testament where they were standing 40 feet back from people for their VIP package. They're definitely doing the, photo with the band, probably getting you in front of the band right there and then someone taking the photo. Let's go back here. A private signing session, 3 items max. And it does not include the concert ticket. Actually, I like the 3 items max rule. If you look at the way this meet and greet sounds, it sounds very organized. It sounds like, if you're doing 3 items max, that means you don't have someone bringing like 300 items. There's crazy people that would probably do something like that. So it's 3 items max. You keep the line moving, keep everything going, and get the meet and greet done in a timely fashion before the show. I think that's cool. Now, what does this meet and greet cost? Let's take a look. So to get to meet the band, you get a flag, you get a tote bag, you get a laminate, you get a autographed 8x10 photo of the band. They sign 3 of your items. This entire package costs $130. I actually don't think that's too bad. I think that's actually a pretty decent price for all that. Plus, if you really love the band that much, you are also supporting them on tour more than you realize. So that does not include a ticket. So out of curiosity now, I'm thinking to myself, what does a ticket to this show cost? Let's take a look. And people have, by the way, have asked me to talk about tickets in this very podcast. I'm not going to do that. That is a completely separate podcast because there's a lot going on there. So there's a lot to talk about. So tickets to the show in Columbus, not counting the meet and greet, $38.40. I mean, actually, $38.40, that's really not too bad. So for roughly, $130, 38, $168.40 plus tax, a little under $200. Honestly, that's really not a bad price. Now, if you throw a t-shirt in there, you're going to probably go over the $200 mark most likely. But if Exodus is a band you truly love, just over $200 to meet them, get a bunch of exclusive merchandise, maybe to buy a shirt, and you also get to see the show. I think that's actually not too bad, especially considering how inflation has gone rampant here in the States and over the fact that the economics of touring are so bad that, sometimes things have gone up 2 to 3 times what they cost, say, 5 or 6 years ago. And that show in Columbus is going to take place, what does it say? November 15th, 2024. So that's really, in my opinion, that's a great meet and greet package. And anybody having something similar to that, that's at a similar price, some of these other thrash bands, I'm cool with that. I have no problem with it. They are probably spending a tremendous amount of money to be able to even go on tour to begin with. So now let's talk about reissues really quick. The question is, why do bands constantly reissue albums? Why are they constantly doing this? All these elaborate box sets and these CDs and all this other stuff coming out. People are calling it, a cash grab and thinking that bands are making millions of dollars off of this. And I can tell you flat out they are not. In fact, reissues, they are a marketing thing. They're not. When you reissue a band's back catalog, it's more of a marketing thing. Now, many of you who see these elaborate box sets and all this physical product, I could tell you flat out, bands are not making tons of money off that. And the reason being is that physical product only accounts for 11% of all music revenue generated. So I got stats here from the RIAA. Music revenue, 11% of it is physical product. 84% of it is streaming. So here is the point of doing reissues. Obviously, for the collectors out there who like physical product, you do appeal to them. But since 84% of all music revenue is generated by streaming, what you are doing is you are drawing attention to the back catalog of a band's discography to get people to stream that stuff more often so you can make more money. Real simple. And then you also have the physical product to appeal to the collectors, maybe the physical product to sell at concerts. And then there's another thing, and another reason they do it. It's to draw in more fans, not only to the band, but to those records that came out that people may have forgotten about. So those are the biggest reasons why. It's really more for marketing. That's really what it boils down to, is marketing the band. Now, if you look at most bands, typically they will have the reissues come out somewhere either right before a band is going to put out an album. Maybe they may do it a few months before while the band is recording an album, or maybe before a big tour. It really all depends on what the record company is looking to do. So, like, let's take, for example, I don't know. I got these Halloween reissues sitting in front of me. Now, Halloween has a live album coming out in December. And not only that, but they are recording a new album. So you're kind of getting the band's name back out there in what we would call a very, very saturated music market. So you get these reissues to draw attention to the band's back catalog. So again, they can make money since streaming is 84% of all music revenue. And then they can capitalize on the 11% of physical sales with these really cool digipack reissues before the live album comes out, and then eventually a new album will come out whenever that is, hopefully next year. So that is why reissues are done. Again, bands need to make money. The economics are not great. I've done shows on that about how the cost of doing everything has skyrocketed. And not only that, but a lot of times if bands are making more money off of streaming, it's more money they can put into the production of the next record. It's more money that will help fund their tour. There are so many, bands aren't really making tons of money off streaming anyway. So they need to get as many streams as they can. And that really is the ultimate purpose of reissues. And it's also to keep the band's back catalog relevant. So that's pretty much where I am on both of those subjects. Again, the cash grab terminology, when people complain about that, I think is absolutely ridiculous. I think that, people really don't see the big picture as to why bands are doing this. And again, nobody is holding you hostage to buy. For all you people that want to whine about the, quote, cash grab, unquote, you're ridiculous. You really are. But what I do like as a collector is when they do reissue albums, I love a lot of the cool box sets they are putting out. One other thing, too, about that, some of these box sets include a remix of the record. And I think that's really cool because sometimes bands, they don't feel they get it right in the studio and they'll do a remix. Now, maybe 50% of the time I might like the remix better than the original. Sometimes they don't. But again, it's something they can put out there. Maybe they mixed an album and weren't really happy with it and haven't been happy with it for the last 25 years. So they get a chance to go into the studio and remix it the way that they really wanted it to sound. So that's pretty much it. So again, I have no problem with meet and greets. If it's worth it to you, go ahead and go for it. And of course, reissues are a marketing tool. That's all I really have for you. Thanks for watching. Stay metal.